We're emerging from COVID stronger than we've ever been, with more resources and volunteers and mission clarity than ever before. And these have been glorious days in the history of your community food bank. The fish is really, really healthy. And although my ego tells me to come here today and take a giant victory lap, my heart's telling me to spend some time acknowledging that the water that we're all swimming in doesn't always feel so clean. Today, America is as divided as it's ever been. And in my lifetime, I've never seen, ever, anything that comes close to this. Families and friendships and communities and school systems torn apart by bitter divisions over politics and masks and COVID measures and race. It's been a sad and anxious time for a lot of us this last 18 months. There isn't a corner of our lives that hasn't somehow been touched by fear or resentment or loss in the past 18 months. Our ways of life have been turned upside down. And that's where we are today. Trying to figure out how we can go forward. Some of us wondering if they even can. Last summer, and I want you to listen to me today on this, because this is to the heart of what's happened. Last summer, I'd go home after working at food distributions all day. And I would turn on the news and look online just like many of you. And I'd see the unrest that happened in the wake of George Floyd's murder. And from there, we went into a contested election, and then January 6th, and more COVID, and more long lines at food distributions, and more service with the National Guard, and the loss of Phil Maynard, my dear friend and our great community leader and friend. And for me personally, my dad went into hospice just after Easter, and he died on May 18th, almost 4 months ago. And so it's been a really rough ride, to be sure. I've spent a lot of nights sitting in my chair in my room just trying to pull it all together, or perhaps keep it all together. I'd read the comments under stories on Twitter and see the vitriol that I spent most of my life not even knowing existed. Does anyone remember back when the Beacon Journal first added a comment section below the stories on their website? And reading those comments for the very first time, I do. And I was shocked. I had no idea that people could be so mean. I mean, I'd occasionally get picked on when I was a kid. Who didn't? That's all the martial arts, right? Got a complex or something. But nothing prepared me for the kind of vitriol that is a moment-by-moment occurrence today online. And I'd simply never seen it before, and it recently occurred to me, think about this, that although there is a whole bunch of us sitting in this room that had never seen people talk to each other that way until there was an internet, there's a whole group in our society, my kids' generation, that have never known people couldn't be that mean. It's all they've ever known. The most toxic, horrible things people can say to each other is right there for our kids to consume every moment of every day. So I'd sit there in my chair and I would reflect on what I saw at work, people getting fed. And what I saw on TV, people dying alone in COVID units. And what I saw at work, the kindness of strangers. And what I saw online, the hatred of strangers. And what I saw at work, broken families clinging to hope, heaped with love by volunteers in a food line and on the news. Broken families who can't stand to sit down at the same table for Thanksgiving because of bitter divisions over politics, and I wrestle with it. I wrestle with my own opinions and my own fears and my own frustrations. In this, a light of truth has kept coming back to me and hitting me over and over and over again, and here it is. If no one has told you that they love you today, I want you to know that the Akron-Canton Regional Food Bank loves you. The food bank serves all who come. It always has. Down on your luck? Come get your food box. Just out of prison? Come get your food box. Has your family disowned you? Come get your food box. Business closed? Come get your food box. Refuse to wear a mask? Okay, just pop the trunk and I'll slip it in the back. And please keep your window up. Oh, and please make sure your car isn't parked. That's a big one. Our food lines have Trump voters, Biden voters, addicts, former felons, families, estranged parents, homeless people. There is literally nothing you could have ever done, ever in your life, no matter how horrible, no matter how self-inflicted, that stands in the way of our seeing your humanity and our helping you get food, because we want you to live. Even when I can't love, the mission does the love for me. And it shines a reflection back at me about who I have to continue trying to be all the way into the core of who I am. Now, I mentioned our volunteers earlier. Some hate to wear masks. Some wear two and safety glasses. Some of our volunteers, who put those boxes in their trunks, voted for Trump. And some of those volunteers voted for Biden. Some of our volunteers are pro-immigration. Some think immigration should end. Some don't know how to use the internet. Some volunteers go home and argue with strangers on the internet. But guess what? All of that love and acceptance I mentioned that occurs in our food lines comes from those exact same people. People from all different backgrounds. People with different beliefs and different religions and different politics and different everything, and still, it all funnels down to a daily act of complete acceptance, complete restoration, and complete love from those very people. And seeing this day after day, throughout this pandemic and this time in my life, has reaffirmed within me the central idea that charitable practice shines a light back on us, not about who we are, but who we are trying to be. This work, listen to me now, this work, this loving work, does not happen at the conclusion of our differences. It happens in the midst of our differences, in our growth, in our shifting and evolving opinions and perspectives. And anytime there is a discussion about resources and how to use them, disagreements are bound to occur. The more passionate we are about a cause, the more passionately we tend to disagree. And I've sat at the table with passionate hunger fighters for the past 25 years. And we disagree deeply about the how of our work. But at the end of the day, they're standing in that food line right next to me. Katie, we've done a lot of work together. It makes me so happy to see you here. So I know our hearts are together even when our minds aren't. We know our hearts are together even when our minds aren't. And that's been a really comforting thing for me. It's been comforting for me to witness in all of this, and for those of you who don't always see it in your jobs, who don't see this love and generosity and charity for all of these broken people being given by all of these broken people, I want you to know that it's there. And when I look at our work, it affirms for me over and over and over again the possibility of redemption is alive and well. And that there is a model of love in action in this work that is merely one of the countless other models of love like this that happen every day in this community. When we come together with people around a cause that teaches us to love beyond ourselves, together in community, we can find restoration and hope in humanity and belief in our own goodness, which is so much what it's about. We're not as divided as we think. What was it that Jesus said, that the tree is known by its fruit? Do you want to be a good person? Well, do something that makes you think that you did good. Do you want to be a loving person? Try acting lovingly towards someone that isn't easy to love. Jesus also said in the book of Matthew chapter 5, and I am going to quote some scripture to you. This is from the Message, written by and interpreted by Eugene Peterson. From the Sermon on the Mount. You're familiar with the old written law, love your friend, and its unwritten companion, hate your enemy? I'm challenging that. I'm telling you to love your enemies. Let them bring out the best in you, not the worst. When someone gives you a hard time, respond with the energies of prayer, for then you are working out of your true selves, your God-created selves. This is what God does. He gives us His best, the sun to warm and the rain to nourish, to everyone, regardless, the good and the bad, the nice and the nasty. If all you do is love the lovable, do you expect a bonus? Anybody can do that. If you simply say hello to people when they greet you, do you expect a medal? Any run-of-the-mill person can do that. In a word, I am saying this: grow up. You are kingdom subjects. Now live like it. Live out your God-given identity. Live generously and graciously towards others the way God lives toward you. From Matthew chapter 5. And those are challenging words for us today. To live generously. To love people that we disagree with. And to work every day to live out our aspirations for who it is that we want to be. So before I close for questions, there are just a few more things I want to say. And this is it. If you're struggling today, get help. If you're depressed, if you're feeling anxiety, if you're not sure you can handle it, if you think you're going to lose a relationship that matters to you in your life, if you don't think you can hang on to the job, if you don't think you can hang on to yourself, people want to help you. You don't have to go it alone. It doesn't make you weak to ask for help. If you're struggling today, get help. These past couple years have been really hard, and re-entry is hard. This is the first time I've spoken in front of a lunch crowd in 2 years. Hell yeah, I'm nervous.
You're doing great.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. But the point is, we can't let our worlds shrink. Anxiety and fear will always scale themselves to the scope of the world you dare to enter. Stay in your basement. Parts of that will be scary. Speak in front of 1,000 people, you might be scared to speak in front of 10,000. Get used to speaking in front of 10,000, your fear will be 100,000, but it's always there, knocking on the door, asking you which way do you want to go, into a smaller, lesser world or a bigger, stronger world. You decide. Know this: there isn't a challenge that you will ever face that's more than you can bear. Wired into you from the moment you were born was all the strength you needed to deal with everything that would ever be put on your plate to the very moment you die. You are strong enough. If there's a crisis in your life, I want you to assure you that there's no depth that you can fall to where there aren't people willing to meet you there and help you through it, and Katie's one of them. The people at the Foodbank are one of them. And I want to be one of them for you, because you're not alone. Your life has purpose simply because you're alive. Believe it. You are loved and you are necessary. And finally, as you've already been told at least twice today, the Akron-Canton Regional Foodbank loves you. So thank you so much for listening. I'm happy to take any questions about this.
Thank you. That's very sweet. Maybe I should just sit down. I don't know where to go from there, but I'm happy to take any questions.